Thank you. I had to make a small couple of changes to what I was going to say this evening. My handwriting has really suffered over the last few years, and so until a bit earlier this afternoon I thought the word was wretch, actually. So I have made a couple of tweaks, but don't worry, we'll be absolutely fine. Thank you for the introduction, Stephen. Thank you for having me, CrowdShed. Often as I come up onto a stage like this, I'm introduced as a networker, which people think is a lovely complimentary word. Maybe I am that, but all I hear when someone says Ollie's a networker is Ollie's a bit of a dick. So, so I'm pleased you didn't use that word, and it's very nice to be here. I like to think of myself as a connector of people. Funnily enough, I've had a bit of a bad day, if I'm honest. My phone has been playing. Has anyone's phone been playing up recently? I don't know what it is, just me. But I went into the phone shop and I said, look, I just need the crappiest phone you've got. And they gave me what I think they call in House of Cards a burner, basically. Absolutely rubbish. And as they were giving me, I think they call it down there in the Badlands a burner, or as my mother said driving through downtown Florida, I think we're in the ghetto, she said. Or no, she said, I think we're in the grotto, actually, if I'm honest. But anyway, it's a longer story. Anyway, I got this crap phone, and I said, can I port the numbers? And he looked at my existing phone, and he said, you've got 9,000 numbers. Yeah, so can I put, and I tell you that essentially to show off, basically, and actually to say, why? How have I got 9,000 numbers in my phone? And I've worked out, I've got two main techniques. I reach out to people, and I keep in touch with people. And that's it. And I keep in touch with people by hosting events, and by being on Twitter, or Le Twitter, as we call it in the Dordogne, and I write to people all the time to keep in touch. But I also reach out to them. And those are my two techniques. And so I want to tell you a little story about a couple of ways in which I reach out to people. And my story starts as a student. I was in Leeds University in the north of England, and I was there in my student bedroom, and I just started a company which was, in theory, hosting events. And it was really to bring students in touch with each other, to meet people they'd never met before so they could collaborate with each other. A bit like Lennon meeting McCartney, or Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber. And I thought, can I use these famous names? Who knows anything about advertising? Not I said in my little student squat bedroom. But who in the world does know about advertising? So would anyone like to guess who I gave a call? Think of something famous in the world of advertising, madam, perhaps. Who? Well, Saatchi and Saatchi. It was the only word I knew in the advertising world. So I called them through directory inquiries. and I managed to get through to their global marketing director, ladies and gentlemen. And to this day, I don't know why he answered the phone, how I got through. But anyway, I got chatting to him. And believe it or not, I say to this day, because although I've told this story before, I've never known to this day. So I wrote to him this morning. We were still in touch. And I said, Stephen, what the hell were you thinking? And he actually wrote me a little note. I don't know if I could sort of got half a second to sort of read it. But basically, that's what he wrote to me on email this afternoon. He said, as global marketing director for Saatchi and Saatchi, everyone wanted to hook up with us for a business deal. So I often used to screen my calls. But it was a Friday afternoon, my PA was out shopping, and like an office game of Russian roulette, I decided to take the call. There you go. There you go. So I just managed to get through. Anyway, that one-off call to Saatchi and Saatchi in London, in Charlotte Street, led to the following three things. They introduced me to their clients. Yeah? It led me to £300,000 worth of investment in my first business. And Stephen, still in touch to this day, said, if you shush and keep it to yourself, you can have a little office at the end of the corridor on the left. Just don't tell anyone. Okay? He really said that, okay? He was fired for gross misconduct. He wasn't fired. He kept the job. He did very well. It was all fine, and we're still in touch. So I reached out to Saatchi and Saatchi, and thank goodness I did, because it got me going. When I started my second company, I was still very passionate about making connections, and I thought, I know, I'm going to call the type of organization who knows about connecting people. And I thought, that's a dating agency, isn't it? So I called the second biggest dating agency in the world at the time, as my wife says, don't aim too high. I called the second biggest, based in Derby, called UDate. And they didn't return my call. And I was very disappointed by this. And so I called again and again and again. And I called, I'm not exaggerating, about 45 times. And the founder just never, ever got back to me. And I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. So one day, I thought I'm going to make a tiny little adjustment because I'm getting bored now. His number ended 111. And so I changed the number on the end of his phone number to 112. And immediately someone picked the phone up. And he was like, hello, Martin Clifford. I said, oh, hello, Martin. My name's Ollie. I've been trying to get in touch with Mel. And he said, oh, haven't we all? So yeah, I thought, we've bonded, haven't we? No one can get in touch with this founder. So anyway, we commiserated, and I had lunch with him a couple of weeks later in London. And as I was sitting around the table with my business partner at the time, Martin goes, okay, guys, you, Ben, how much to retain you personally, per month? And Ben said, £7 grand a month, Martin. And I thought, God, £7 a month would be good at the moment. But £7 grand a month, Ben, you've gone off too high. And he turned to me and he goes, how about you? And I thought, oh my God. And Ben, behind me, the lion roared. He said, he's the same price as me. I was like, exactly, Ben. so 14 grand a month. And he said, yes, that's absolutely fine. I'm surprised you haven't asked for more. I thought, anyway. The first client, and we were off and running from that little change. Fast forward 10 years. Here I am today. My team, 2 of which are here, Cosper, and we create new projects, particularly with brands. And one we're really excited about, and we're proud of, is called VIY. And VIY is incredibly simple because it helps young people fix their own youth clubs. And it's supported by Wix, the DIY chain. And they give the kit and materials, and then tradespeople volunteer their time to help young people. And to this day, 1,000 young people have got a qualification through it. 25 Wix stores have given kit and materials, and hundreds of tradespeople have volunteered. And I was thinking a couple of days ago, how did it start? And it started very simply. Just one very quick example, which is I saw a guy called Charlie Mullins, the plumber from Pimlico Plumbers, writing a ranty blog post. You know, he was really angry. He's got his own blog. It's called Charlie Pipes Up, if you ever want to read it, as all good plumbing blogs should be. And he basically said, look, you know, schools are falling down. It's a disgrace. Let's get kids fixing their own schools. I thought, well, part mad, part genius. But I'll write to him anyway. And I wrote to him and I said, yeah, good, strong idea. Maybe we'll do it with youth clubs. He said, come in for a cuppa. And he said, Ollie, you're a busy man, I'm a busy man, let's have a meeting. If at the end of the meeting we're drinking from the same teapot. I was like, what? He said, if at the meeting we're drinking with the same teapot or from the same teapot, we'll do a deal. And we were drinking from the same teapot, by God. And that was the email that started it all. So there's a theme emerging, and I thought of 3 things as I was looking forward to coming to see you today about what my 3 techniques are, which I just thought I'd share, and many of you will have arrived at these already yourself. The first theme is persistence. Sometimes people say no to me, sometimes they say yes to me. Almost always they ignore me when I email them out the blue. Okay? So what I do, slightly dejected, I go creeping into my sent items. And I used to preface this with a little tiptoe along the email going, I'm so sorry, did you have time to read this the first time? I don't do that anymore. I just resend the email. Okay? Right? And then they don't get back to me either. And so I go creeping back into my sent items. I just send it again. Yeah. And all the good things happen off the back of the 2nd or 3rd or 4th email. I promise you. So go into your sent items and think, you buggers. And just send it again. Over the ramparts it goes, okay? So it's persistence. Don't let the buggers get you down. I think timing is everything. So we haven't got too much time today, but my slightly creepy technique I will share with you today as friends, as generous friends, is I do set up small Google alerts. don't leave, madam. Often on people I've recently met. And that means that every time they enter the news or the web in a new and interesting way, I get a little email which helps me say, hey, Tara, congratulations on that new deal. So it's timing. And the third thing I do is I try and have, as take that said, a little patience, okay, because I find if you jump to it too quickly, people get a bit spooked. So I started a scheme, Tenor, now in hundreds of schools, and I wrote to the editor of Newsnight, not to tell him about Tenor, and you might think this is slightly cheeky of me, ladies and gentlemen, but I wrote to him saying, what a great show that was tonight. Peter, I'd never met him before. I honestly, at 11:10, timing, I said, what a great show, and I particularly enjoyed that package on drugs. And he wrote back saying, well, thank you very much. You should definitely keep in touch, and I'd love to know what you're up to. I said, funny you should ask. I'm just doing a scheme in some schools. And he asked me to come in for coffee the next day, and I'm not exaggerating. By the end of the coffee, he'd commissioned 3 films about tenor, which went on Newsnight, which triggered all sorts of other wonderful things, okay? So, yeah, I make the point about patience, which is important. However, I want to conclude by saying 3 things. The first is, yes, take long shots. Particularly people you think will never come back to you, because often they do, and often they do pick up the phone. The second thing is to just get on with it and do it rather than not do it, because you risk very little actually. What they're going to do, ignore you. But on patience, you can bide your time in clever and crafty ways, but don't wait too long. I don't have, honestly don't have any regrets at all really, but the one thing I do regret is not spending time with my grandparents, okay? And I really wish I had. And so I would say, and this echoes a point made earlier tonight, don't wait too long before sending that note to someone or putting in that call, because they might not be around next time you do it. So I'm going to quote the late, great Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society when he said, "Carpe diem, seize the day." Thank you.